Ready to dust off your synth and tease up that hair, listener? Okay, maybe not. But either way, get ready for a trip back to the 1980s. We're diving into a song that practically IS the decade, but with some surprising depth we're going to unpack together.
It's amazing how certain songs capture a moment, but then also manage to become timeless.
Right. And this one, definitely one for the time capsule. So we're talking Tears for Fears. You sent over their bio, which I have to say, fascinating stuff. This isn't just a couple guys who knew how to work a synthesizer. Formed in '81, all the way from Bath, England. But get this, the name Tears for Fears is straight out of psychology, inspired by something called primal scream therapy.
It really highlights how in tune they were with exploring emotional depths, especially those related to adolescence. You could feel that rawness in a lot of their music.
And what's wild is these guys aren't just stuck in the 80s. They've got a whole career spanning decades, even a new album out recently. But for this deep dive, you've challenged us to really get into one specific track. Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
A song that topped the charts, became synonymous with the MTV generation, but also reflects a lot of what was going on beneath that surface.
It's true. I mean, who doesn't get that instant rush of nostalgia when those opening chords hit? But you're right, there's this whole other layer people might miss if they're just singing along at a party. The Cold War was in full swing back then, real anxieties about the future, right?
Absolutely. And the song captures that tension brilliantly, wouldn't you say? It's that contrast, isn't it? On the surface, you've got this incredibly catchy, upbeat melody. It's a pure 80s synth pop, makes you want to roll down the windows and sing along. But then you listen to the lyrics.
And you realize it's not exactly a Happy Days theme song. I mean, the holding hands while the walls come tumbling down. That's not just about a relationship on the rocks, right? It's set against this backdrop of potential global conflict.
Exactly. And musically, Tears for Fears really underscores that tension. You got that driving guitar riff. It's not overly distorted, but it's got this real urgency to it, pushing the song forward. And the way those harmonies layer in, especially on the chorus, they create this feeling of almost soaring above it all, even as the lyrics are grappling with some pretty dark stuff.
And those tempo changes you mentioned before, it's like the song itself is restless, mirroring those anxieties about the future. I never thought about it that way before.
It's masterful, really. Tears for Fears taps into something primal with the music, this visceral energy that gets under your skin. But then they layer on this lyrical depth that makes you think about the world around you, and maybe even question who's really in control, which fits perfectly with that whole everybody wants to rule the world idea.
It's funny, even with those heavier themes, the song never feels depressing. If anything, it's almost empowering. Like recognizing the chaos, but still finding joy in the music itself.
That's what makes it so enduring, I think. It resonates on different levels. Dance to it, think to it, even find a weird sense of hope in it, despite everything. And speaking of different perspectives, you mentioned we have fellow music lover Rudy weighing in on this.
Oh yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. So Rudy, besides having the coolest name ever, is an art director living in Montreal, but he's originally from Guadeloupe. So he's got this global perspective, right? And music is a huge part of his life.
Sounds like someone who understands the power of music to transcend borders and cultures. What was his take on Everybody Wants to Rule the World?
Okay, so get this. He said that even though the lyrics are on the surface about this power struggle, the music itself evokes something completely different for him. He used the phrase, consciousness for freedom.
Wow, that's fascinating. Almost like the music itself is offering a way to rise above the very things the lyrics are describing.
Right, like an escape or maybe even a call to action. And the way he described the musical experience was interesting too. He used the word ethereal, which I thought was fitting. Ethereal. Like he was saying the music creates this otherworldly atmosphere. And that got me thinking maybe that's part of why the song has resonated with so many people for so long. It's not just about the lyrics or the beat, but this whole feeling it creates.
Definitely. Music has this incredible power to tap into emotions and experiences that words alone can't always capture.
Totally. And speaking of powerful experiences, Rudy had this story about hearing Everybody Wants to Rule the World in a totally unexpected place.
So do tell.
He was watching the season finale of this show, For All Mankind. You know, the one where the space race never ended?
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
A fascinating exploration of alternate history.
Exactly. And in this episode, they're launching this massive next-generation rocket called the Sea Dragon, way bigger than anything we've ever built in real life. It's this huge moment, right? The culmination of all their efforts to reach further into space.
I can only imagine the tension and excitement surrounding such an event, even in a fictional setting.
It's intense,
Yeah.
but here's where it gets really cool. As they're showing this epic launch sequence, Guess what song starts playing?
I think I can guess Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
You got it. Rudy said his jaw practically hit the floor. It was like the song took on this whole other meaning in that context. Suddenly, it wasn't just about Cold War anxieties, but also about humanity's ambition, our drive to explore and conquer new frontiers, even if it means risking everything.
What a brilliant use of music. It adds a whole other layer to the scene, connecting the space race to those earlier anxieties about global power struggles.
And the fact that they used a song from 1985 in a scene set in the 80s just adds this layer of historical resonance. It's like the song is speaking to the characters from their future, hinting at what they might not even be able to imagine yet.
It's a powerful reminder that the more things change, the more they stay the same. Whether it's the Cold War or the space race, there's this timeless element to human ambition and the risks that come with it.
It really makes you think, who knew a synth pop hit from the 80s could hold so much depth?
It's a testament to the power of music and great songwriting to transcend time genre, even its original intention, and to connect with us on such a deep emotional level no matter when or where we are.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? From primal scream therapy to the edge of space, all through the lens of one iconic song. So listener, as you go about your day, we leave you with this. What song from your life deserves a deep dive? What stories, emotions, and memories does it hold? Let us know. And until next time, keep those turntables spinning or, those Spotify playlists going.